Hi there. So today we'll cover section 1.4 of chapter 2 of the Byzantine Empire. You know the drill. Go ahead, log into LODA-USD website, and from there Clever, and from Clever Cengage Learning, National Geographic Learning. Log in your student account, and from the left side, Unit 1, Chapter 2, Section 1, Lesson 4. As for the chapter's essential question, how did the Byzantine Empire carry on the culture and traditions of the old Roman Empire? And the objective of this lesson is to describe the ways in which Constantinople was modeled on ancient Rome, that is the western side of the Roman Empire. Well, to provide additional background besides the information that is available in our textbook, the center of life in Constantinople is the Hippodrome. It is the center of Constantinople's social life. So people bet huge amounts of money on 4 teams that took part in the chariot races. Each of these teams was sponsored by a different political party. Its chariots was powered by 4 horses, and up to 8 chariots competed on the racing track. In addition to being sporting events, the races provided rare occasions for the emperor and the citizens to come together in a single venue. So the people in Constantinople, the Romans, in the eastern side of the Roman Empire, just like the modern day Americans, we love our sports, and of course we are so much involved in politics, well, at least for the adults. At its height, or during its golden age, Constantinople was the world's largest city with its 500,000 inhabitants. Well, it is relatively small compared to our modern-day cities. So the main idea was that Constantinople was a lively capital city modeled after the ancient Rome. So like Rome, Constantinople relied on resources from outside the city for its survival. So basically they buy grains from Egypt, and their water is piped from about 70 miles away from the city, just like the ancient Rome or the western side of the Roman Empire when they built those humongous aqueducts. Geographically, Constantinople is surrounded by sea on 3 sides. So that means they attracted a lot of people, different kinds of people with their cultures and traditions. Obviously, besides people, merchants and traders from many parts of Europe and Asia brought in constant flow of business and goods that are unique or exotic. So just like many modern cities, Rome or Constantinople's residents live in very poor condition. There's an extreme level of economic status of people. There are people who are very wealthy, and of course there are people who are very poor as well. Many of the inhabitants rely on the government's provision of their basic needs. Just like any city across the globe or throughout history, Constantinople takes pride with its public buildings and magnificent monuments that inspire civic pride. Like the old western side of Rome, they have a Senate house. They have public baths, triumphal arches, columns, and statues that reflect the wealth and glory of the empire. And people would frequently cram into a huge hippodrome, a massive arena almost 1,500 feet long, just to watch chariot races. The track was decorated with treasures from ancient Greece and Egypt. The emperor supervised the games from the imperial box, just like in Rome. Remember the Colosseum? This is the counterpart of it, and this one is crazier. Constantinople was the vibrant center of the Byzantine Empire. Beginning with Constantine, the emperors adorned the city with numerous churches, monuments, and civic buildings. Every day, thousands of people from all around the ancient world gathered together in the streets, buying, selling, and socializing to different people, their friends, their relatives. It's a tourist area. It's bustling with people. So let's have a quick walk through around the city. Emperor Constantine built the first strong wall around Constantinople. As the city expanded, later emperors built walls farther out. The Mess was the main street of Constantinople. Lined with shops, it led from Hagia Sophia through the city's forums. So like Rome, Constantinople had forums where people meet to do business. The Oval Forum of Constantine was one of this. Hagia Sophia, the most important infrastructure of the Byzantine Empire, overlooked the Bosphorus and commanded a view of the entire city as well. So Emperor Constantine built this hippodrome, the largest stadium of its time. It could seat about 60,000 people, and it's really quite impressive even if you will compare it to modern day infrastructure. Of course, there are a lot of stadiums that are far bigger than this, but you have to think about it. It was built before cranes and those machines that they use for construction. Now let's go to the Roman cultural influence. That is, again, I would like to emphasize the Western Roman cultural influence. So Constantinople reflected everything that was glorious about ancient Rome. Now pay attention, this is important. Its design, architecture, and monuments all reinforce the fact that the Byzantines considered themselves Roman. They definitely saw themselves as true inheritors of the Roman cultural traditions, far more than Rome itself. Indeed, the Byzantine emperors brought many great monuments from Rome, Italy, Africa, and Greece to adorn the capital. Well, just like what I said a while ago, because of the massive influx or migration of people from all over the world, it brought along with it is cultural diversity. So meaning there are different cultures and traditions in one place. Because Greece culture is older and stronger than the Roman culture itself, Greek and not Latin was the people's language and official language of the state. If you are paying attention in our lessons in chapter 1, you know that Latin was the official language of the Western Roman Empire. However, the eastern side of the Roman Empire, which is the Byzantine Empire, they speak Greek. Of course, in order to maintain peace and order in any city, or especially if it's an empire, law and order was maintained in the Byzantine Empire. The Justinian Code, based on Roman law, continued to be the basis of the Byzantine legal system. In this way, Byzantium helped preserve Greek and Roman learning for later generations. So there you have it, life in Constantinople. Now let's go to the review and assess questions. First, reading check. What was one way in which Constantinople modeled itself on ancient Rome? Number 2, make inferences or conclusions. Why was trade with other regions necessary for Constantinople? Number 3, interpret visuals. What details in the drawing illustrate the idea that Constantinople was a busy, wealthy city? So if you will scroll up, you will find this picture right here. And that's it. That's lesson 1.4, Life in Constantinople, of chapter 2 of the Byzantine Empire. Go ahead, go back to our Google Classroom right now and open the review and assess file. Open the review and assess file and answer the review and assess questions in lesson 1.4, Life in Constantinople, pages 48 to 49. You can either use your book or you can play and pause this video so that you will get the correct answer or responses to these questions. Now go ahead, work independently, and we will share your responses in our class later.